So this year we're working through the 12 Powers of Man by Charles Fillmore. And this month we're working on zeal. And, I kind of wanted to look that up because zeal is not a word that we commonly use anymore. So what the dictionary said that, passion, devotion, eager, vigor, gusto, enthusiasm. We know the energy, but I just wanted to give a few words to it. But we know that there is one power that makes up and moves through all things. It literally gives us life, as well as inspiration and opportunities. And having zeal comes from being aware of this connection and loving and respecting ourselves enough to step into the life that's being offered. If we don't feel worthy, we reject the vibrancy of the divine. And zeal is that vibrancy for life that comes from letting that life force move through us and not kinking the hose. So we often live out of habits or the rules of society and not live into our passions or our interests, stifling that zeal. And today I want to introduce to you a magic box that, when opened, can help you feel that connection and see God's message to you more clearly. So to live with zeal is not normal, but it is our nature. God is creating a world through us. And as we become more aware of our part in it, we are filled with zeal. Thoreau called it the doorway through which the infinite passes into the finite, or the universal becomes the individual. God works through us to create the world around us. Metaphysical philosopher and Jesuit priest Teilhard de Chardin, a man who embodied zeal, said, strictly speaking, God does not make the world. He makes the world make itself. That life force energy moves through all things. Cultures from all over the world have a name for it: chi, prana, Tao, Great Spirit, and even the Star Wars, the Force. It's all talking about the same thing, this energy that moves through all of us. This energy that excites us. When you're experiencing that creativity, the energy that drives and invigorates you. It's this pull or urge that you feel to be more. Ernest Holmes says it's an infinite stream of living water waiting to be expressed through you. This living, life-giving water that just moves through you into creating the world. And this is often in conflict with how we normally see ourselves. So tapping into the feeling of Spirit's presence can bring our awareness to what I like to call an amazing grace moment, when we feel so overwhelmed by the love that is coming to us, no matter how we deserve we feel it. We can briefly feel the perfection and love that we are. So it's our job to let that energy manifest, to bring it out, to listen to that voice and to make it happen. And we often block the divine offers because they don't fit our picture of the world. We live in a story that we are telling ourselves, projecting our beliefs and our understandings about the world onto our experience. And it's called the law of identity. And that's, we interact with the divine through the law of identity, or our paradigms. It's made up of all of our experiences, all of our social beliefs, who we think we are in the world, what we think we're capable of, how loving God is, how much good we're allowed to have before something bad happens. Ernest Holmes says, by way of illustration, imagine yourself looking at a picture of a beautiful landscape. In this picture, there are trees, a house, a stream of water, a beautiful meadow. In the background, there are mountains and a blue sky dotted with clouds. You look long at it, contemplating its beauty. Now suppose that a colored glass is placed between you and the picture, so that the picture seems blurred. Everything seems distorted, and yet nothing has happened to the picture. It's your business to remove the colored glass, because the picture is still there on the wall and it still may be seen. This beautiful picture is the truth about our experience, that we are in a world that we co-create with the divine. And we put the colored glass of our fears and our paradigms in front of it. We look out at our world and believe the circumstances are the truth. So, how do we change our self-identity? And a great deal of it has to do with our feelings of worthiness. And we know how to improve that. Living with integrity, being honest in your interactions, starting a gratitude practice where you're looking at your experience with eyes of gratitude, all the things that you have. Making an effort to make life better for all the people that you interact with. Practicing the law of circulation. All of these things can help build our sense of worthiness. And it's super complicated to see how much we are projecting our thoughts onto things. Things that we see as fact that really aren't. We know this to be true, but yet it's really not. And sometimes we attach ourselves to an identity that we don't actually even want. But, because it becomes sort of this, we think that this is who we are, and we tell people with a sort of a strange sense of pride. It's kind of like belonging to a club. I'm so fat, or I'm too old for that. I have money issues. And that there's something gained to be part of that club with the people who fit that vice. This week, a friend of mine put up a short video of her doing this like kickboxing aerobics kind of thing, and I was in awe. And my comment was, I could watch you do that all day. And, it was something, it was supportive of her, but it was also, in a way, I was saying that that's not something for me. I put myself in the club of people not willing to try that. I can watch her do it all day, but I'm not going to be doing that. So our self-image manifests itself in the physical world, and it's not just in our head. The universe helps us to create it. During lockdown, I purposely lost 35 pounds, which is a whole story in itself. But today I want to talk to you about the after. A few months later, I started gaining the weight back at an alarming rate, and I hadn't changed any of my routine. And what I realized was that my self-image had not caught up with my physical body. So the universe was helping me create the body that I saw in my mind. When I was working on losing the weight, I used imagery of myself as this fit, and, I had this lift in my step. And I believe that imagery helped me a great deal. And I had stopped practicing that imagery. So of course I immediately started seeing myself as clear as I could of, who I was in the world. So our self-image, the belief that we have about who we are in the world and what we're capable of and what the divine is bringing us. What part of society is going to hold us back? All of those things are going to play a huge role in our experience of the world. And we use our experiences to help weigh decisions. And, having life experiences make a huge difference in the variety of solutions we come up with if we don't let it get in the way. So I'm going to get to my magic box, but I want to look first at what keeps us from creating the lives that we want. And it's easy to get caught up in old patterns, the need for control or security, our fixed ideas on how the world works, what kind of higher power exists. I'm a person with money issues. It's easy to get stuck in that old pattern. We think we know how things are, and we leave behind possibilities, living out of habit instead of creation. So we come to every interaction, every aspect of our life with all this stuff. We don't have to label it good or bad, it just is. But when we look at a situation, whether that's physically or just in our minds, we're projecting all of our beliefs and understanding about the world onto the scene. That's the colored glass. We never see what is actually there. So I want to do a little experiment with you. I want you to look around the room, my room or your room, and look for the color blue. Everything that you can see that is the color blue. Light blue, dark blue, maybe a tiny little bit of blue or a whole big thing of blue. Now I want you to close your eyes and bring to mind everything that is the color red. All right, so go ahead and open your eyes and look around the room for the color red. Do you see more red now that you're looking for it? Of course. So the thing is, we only see what we are looking for. We have a part in our brain called the reticular activating system, the RAS. And it wants to put everything in a box to make it easier to retrieve, and it filters out all the extra stuff that it thinks we're not interested in. And it shows us what it thinks we're wanting. So the RAS is really helpful because there's so much going on in our lives that we can't absorb it all. So the RAS does a great job of making associations and bringing us what we're looking for. The downside of the RAS is that it can give us false impressions, filter out things that could potentially be useful ideas or plans or physical objects. We have thoughts about how deserving we are in the world, how God works with us, whether that's in a loving or a punishing way. Those beliefs, we project on our experience, and it changes what we're going to see. If we believe we deserve God's punishment, we will find ways that God is punishing us. Everything that happens to us becomes God's judgment. If we believe we are a failure, we will find ways to screw up any gains, maybe not consciously. We are co-creating our lives with the creative power of the universe at every moment, with what we think and what we feel. And if we are projecting our fears and limited thoughts on our experience, that's what our lives are going to mirror back to us. Paradigms block us from hearing or seeing the voice of God. As we live our daily lives, we often live out of habit, getting up at the same time, eating the same foods, doing the same things in the evenings, and the world can become flat and boring and unfulfilling. We cannot feel the zeal of the creative life force when we live out of habit. Doing things without shifting our mindset to creative mode. It's kind of like AI results. If you asked the AI to tell your story for you, it's going to be flat. It's going to be without your uniqueness, without your creative spice. We come to every situation with a lifetime of paradigms built up, and we see only what we expect. But as I've mentioned, I have a magic box. And the more you spend time with it, the more it will reveal. It will put you in a space of acceptance and growth, keeping it new and fresh, filling you with zeal. It has a higher vibration and excitement and potential, and it's called wonder. Wonder brings curiosity. We change from the energy of projecting to one of receiving. It shifts us out of the story that we've been playing and the assumptions we make, and it opens us up to listen to our inner voice. Wonder requires a pause from our normal busyness and rushing around from one activity to the next, and allows us to find a new understanding. It shifts us into a creative and solution-based reality that we can receive guidance and insights for all questions. Spirit is sending us insights, lessons, and signs all the time. And we have to make a choice to listen and to look for them. Think of a child, how open they are. They're experiencing everything. They're learning everything for the first time. They're open to the possibilities and awe, trusting and curious. And Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." And we know that the kingdom of heaven is not a place that we will go. It is a mindset. It is with that energy, that newness, that we are open to feeling God, open to the guidance and insight that is there at every moment. When we look at our life with a sense of wonder, we stop projecting all that we've been taught about the world onto our experience, the why something won't work or why it's inappropriate, and instead become receptive to what the universe wants to show us. We can feel our life force energy moving through us in creative ways, inspiring a passion for life. We move into the experience of Ernest Holmes calls enthusiastic expectation, where we trust the divine will show us something specifically for us right now in our life. To live with zeal, we face the world with wonder and expect God to show us something. And that's when we can receive completely different ideas. We're going to see that vibrancy that is the life force that created the universe moving in our life. If I'm facing what seems to be a problem, I can easily decide that I only have limited options, none of which I'm very happy about. But in my limited worldview, they seem like the only way I can go. I'm not even open to other possibilities. But if I shift my mental state, looking at the situation with wonder, what can I do? Asking God for a solution. That's when the doors open. That's when the solutions come that you never thought of, but once they have come, they seem so obvious. We receive insights from really unpredictable sources. Ernest Holmes says, it makes life a game that is a joy to play. Wonder helps us take that pause to really look at the world closely without our paradigms. And wonder and gratitude often go hand in hand. Gratitude also helps us notice what's around us. And they both put you at a vibrational level to hear your message from the divine. And it can be kind of a thrill, because often when we shift our perspective to wonder, we are shown something that has already been there. My husband and I knew each other for 3 years. We were all in the same kind of friend group, did not even consider him at all. And then all of a sudden one day, it was like, oh, it's you. And that was 31 years ago. So, like all the red in the room when we're looking for blue, it was already there. We just didn't see it. Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The fields are ripe for harvest. And it's the story that we're telling ourselves that keeps us in pain or in suffering or moves us to the kingdom of heaven. Ernest Holmes says, life is not static. It is forever dynamic, forever creating, not something done and finished, but something alive, awake, aware. There is something within you that sings the song of eternity. Listen to it. There is an eternal springtime of your soul always rising, but never setting is the sun of your destiny. Wonder gives us the energy of a child, allowing us to see what is already there and enter into the kingdom, which is available at any moment. Blessings.